Welcome back, NoDQ Galaxy, to a brand new edition of the NoDQ Review number 248. And I am Virtue, the moderator, being joined by this week's elite panel of NoDQ, Aaron Rift. As always, Walter Cruz is here, Noah Foster in the house. Both Aaron and Noah were at SummerSlam last night. And of course, Jeff Meacham is here. What's up, gentlemen? What's going on? Noah, I will start with you. Do you have a voice back?
Yes, I do, and they're not in my head. It is out loud. Great to see you, Virtue. Great to see you, gang. Great to see you, NoDQ. It was quite a time last night. 4 years since my last WWE Premium Live event, pay-per-view, whatever you want to call it, and first ever live stadium show attendance. It was quite an experience.
And did you have fun watching, I don't know, a new WWE Women's Champion be crowned twice, technically, right?
Yeah, that was the first. That's the first time ever I saw that.
And then, of course, Brock and Cody, the Bloodline, Tribal Combat, which we're going to talk about in the main event tonight. We're going to talk about our SummerSlam thoughts, so it's going to be fun. So, Noah, stay tuned. We'll be back to you. You know how this goes.
Absolutely.
All right, Walter, what's up? You're usually a man that just wants to get it going. What's up?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm ready to go. So, thanks for having me again. As always.
Always. You're like Mr. Reliable. So we're gonna, and coming up here, we're gonna have some we're gonna potentially have a new person on, giving it a go for the first time in a future episode. And I think this guy experience might come on for his third time. So if you're interested in maybe being on one of these squares right here on the NoDQ Review, send Aaron a little tryout video. Where do they send that, Aaron? NoDQMISC@gmail.com.
That's it.
So there you go. All right, Jeff, what's going on?
Good to be here as well. I'm not nearly exhausted as the two to my left, I'm sure, having been in there were 60,000 people, including friends and family. That must have been awesome. But Walter and I were up late doing the open mic night, so it was a long night going into a long Sunday today. But I'm always happy to be on the NoDQ Review, kind of taking Big G's place in that front, and definitely good to see everybody in the chat room. Good to see JJ here, and definitely looking forward to the week we have ahead on the multiverse of media. But as always, it starts on Sundays with the NoDQ Review, so let's do it.
I know, and people need their NoDQ Review fix, because last Sunday I was out of town. Aaron did NXT. Tuesday night I just couldn't get on, so here we are right after SummerSlam. We return right here, episode 248, almost at 250. Robbie Vice might be on as early as next week as well, so I like giving you something to look forward to, people. Aaron, What's going on?
I'm doing well. I'm a bit tired, a bit sore. My throat is a little sore. My body's a little sore. It was a long day, but a fun day at Ford Field for SummerSlam. Thank you, Jeff, for doing the watch along. That was a fun time. You went like 8+ hours. How do you do that, Jeff? Tell me, how do you go for 8 hours? That is insane. Tell us.
The key for me, Aaron, is I have learned, and you were there when I got hired to do play-by-play commentary for another company out here based locally. The key is I don't stay on camera the whole time. I don't use my voice for 8 hours. I just sit there and push the buttons and make this guy and James and JJ look good and sound good when they're making the call. That way I don't have to worry about, wearing my own face or voice out over the course of 8 hours. But we did do one show. I forget what the WWE or NXT show was, but it was when Ring of Honor had their show the same night. NXT and Ring of Honor the same day. We only went 12 hours because we got cut off. Because YouTube was like, you can't stream no more. So we had done a 12-hour one before.
It was NXT Deadline and Ring of Honor Final Battle.
That's what it was. So yeah, it definitely was a final battle because YouTube said no more from you. We're done. But yeah. So the key is to not have yourself on camera for the whole 8 hours.
There you go. Jeff Meacham, words of wisdom. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to join in, but it was chaotic with all the noise and everything. Plus, the internet connection at Ford Field was not the greatest. Just so many people, so much noise, and not the best internet connection. Was not able to chime in with my thoughts, but that's what the NoDQ Review is for tonight. I have a lot to say about SummerSlam. I'll give you all my thoughts. So if you're watching this live, do us a favor and share a link to this. This is basically my recap of SummerSlam tonight. Usually I just sum up what I already said previously, and Virtue has me just say, anything else you want to add to it? Well, I have a lot to say, so we'll get to that later on. We have a lot to talk about tonight. We skipped the No DQ review last week, so it's going to be a fun one, everybody. Spread the word, tell a friend. And the This Guy Experience sent in a $2 super chat, maybe pulling a Walter trying to secure a spot for next week or the week after. He says, thanks for the shout out, Virtue. Jimmy is a backstabber later.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about that. And
Gonna be a fun.
The whole second half of this show will be about SummerSlam. So stay tuned. We'll get through to that as soon as possible. Aaron, you ready to start?
Let's do it.
Let's get the AEW topic out of the way. And Noah's here. So, Noah, I'll start with you. I know you like AEW. You can talk about anything that's happened since the last review in AEW that piques your interest. The main part that I want to discuss as we go around here is the Elite are staying with AEW. I'm not sure what that means. Is this like the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega? None of them are WWE bound, people. They're staying in AEW, which, come on, they're EVPs. Duh. They're not going to go to WWE. Now, I know we get news sources out there that say Kenny Omega was number one on Triple H's list. Oh, look at that. I mean, come on. You're not in WWE unless you're officially signed and announced. I don't buy any of this stuff. When you are EVPs of a company and you're always up there in big matches, why not stay where you already are? So, Noah, what's your thoughts here? I mean, I am not surprised. I'm not going to knock these guys. This is their company. This is kind of what they helped start. So any thoughts, anything else on AEW you want to talk about? Go ahead, Noah.
I think at this point it's pretty much common knowledge that the Elite, comprised of Kenny Omega, Young Bucks, and Heyman and Page, are going to continue to do what they want to do in AEW. It's their utopia. They created it. They basically kind of control it. They literally have the entire industry in the palm of their hands. They're made men for life in and out of the ring. So the fact of the matter that they re-signed with AEW, official AEW press release, by the way, folks, that's seeing is believing, by the way. That doesn't surprise me at all. I just hope that, again, more often than not, I just want to see Tony Khan step up his management, not just himself in particular, but his entire, if I could say a word, cabinet. So as far as that goes, that really doesn't surprise me. As far as I'm concerned, what they start, they'll continue to elevate and grow. But hopefully it'll be with less backstage politics and shenanigans. Who the hell knows? As far as anything else goes in AEW, I mean, at this point, I'm just waiting for All In. I'm very curious to see how AEW handles an international audience of a whole different sort. Because when it comes to the UK, I still say they're the most passionate fan base on the planet. And truth be told, if they have the power and they have that type of atmosphere, they will try and take the show themselves, if any chance possible. So with the fact they got 80,000 people in a 100-year-old stadium that is the mecca of entertainment, that's an incredible first, but I'm very curious to see how both the talent and the management handle it and present it. Besides that, I really don't have a whole lot much more to say right now. Collision is my new mainstay for the week now when it comes to what I want to look forward to most in wrestling, because it takes me back to what AEW was in its early days, but also to a degree what WWF was at the highest when it came to fan engagement, energy, flow. 2-hour show, fairly booked with a strong main event, fun opener, balanced mid-card. So at this point, I don't have a lot to say about AEW. Now the tournaments are finally done. Thank freaking Jesus. I'm just ready to see what happens at All In and All Out back-to-back, and which show can outperform the other. At this point, AEW, they're in competition with themselves. Let's see what happens.
Now, Noah, I got to make sure I heard this correctly. You said the Elite hold professional wrestling in the palm of your hands. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Not sports entertainment, professional wrestling. I think that's what you said.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Because they don't hold they hold that
I know that.
they hold that AEW audience in the palm of their hand. I will agree with you. I will agree with you on that. No argument. Just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks for your input there. No, and I know last night there was Collision during SummerSlam, and that's gonna suck for AEW when that happens. I guess Punk and Starks had a match, and I mean, the good thing is I guess you can always DVR it if you're into the SummerSlam thing. Watch it later, catch it on the internet, whatever. So I'm sure a lot of people did that. And it seems like they settled in at that 750,000 for Saturday night when it's not up against anything. So that's not, I mean, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm surprised with Punk. It's not more than that, but again, it is Saturday night. Jeff Meacham, any thoughts here on AEW, the Elite? I mean, come on. They were never going to go to WWE just to be part of a pool that's under. You never know when Vince McMahon's going to change a script type.
Right.
Even Triple H, they're the EVPs in AEW. Like, I'm surprised Adam Page isn't going to become an EVP. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened at some point.
Well, the fact is, all four of them re-signed. Omega, Hangman, and the Bucks. They re-signed. The three of them that were EVPs remain EVPs, like you said, Virtue and the thing, Big Shock. But it was more, as far as our side of things, it was more of a question of they actually let them retain their EVP status, because that's been one of the big hang-ups since Brawl Out. Is Tony allowing for too many player coaches? And I think that's definitely a thing. And now that Punk is re-signed and the real world champion, having his own title, doing his own thing, apparently having a match with Joe coming up here soon-ish, I guess, with the Bucks and Kenny and Hangman now being re-signed and there for 4 years, or whatever the latest report is, however you want to call it. But when are we going to finally get this together? We were talking about this quite a bit last night. It's one of those, do we get the build up to what we've in this room talked about, Punk versus Omega? Because it looks like I didn't see Collision yet. It's a little busy yesterday and definitely trying to rest today. But it looks like we're going to get FTR versus the Bucks coming up at All In. Is that what I read?
Yes.
What I read, Aaron? Okay. So that leads me to believe that we should, quote unquote, on the same show get Punk versus Omega, which is what we talked about. That'll be a main event, put butts in the seats in Wembley, because the current world champion is already facing Adam Cole. That's already booked. Punk is not booked yet, unless Punk and Joe is going to happen, which it looks like that's going to be All In too, or was that confirmed for All In?
Punk and Joe is set up for All In, as
Okay.
is FTR versus the Young Bucks.
So
Okay, so they get Omega
official
against somebody
graphics,
else.
Okay.
Okay, so in either case, we've got everybody now back under contract, back, working. Everybody's happy with Tony again and woohoo. But it's so silly that it took almost a full year to get everybody back under contract, back on the same page, back, where we can at least maybe believe there's going to be this payoff of this bullshit that's been going on for over a year. If you really go back to, it was Hangman Page that started this little snowball down the hill that turned into an avalanche with his going off script in verbiage on microphones. So I'm okay with AEW right now. I'm not purposely tuning out, but yeah, I definitely haven't watched Collision yet. And I made a great point last time I was in the review. I forgot Collision was even on until Aaron posted, oh, that's right, Collision's on. Here we go. I totally forgot it was a thing. So that's what they're fighting against now. Making people make Collision must see after that first week. Because the return of CM Punk was everything, and now it's like, oh shit, that's still on. That's right.
Yeah, can Saturday Night Professional Wrestling hold up in a digital age where DVR is so much a thing?
It's one of those Saturdays at 6:05 was such a staple because there was nothing else.
Yeah.
Period. So now it's everybody, especially in a pandemic or post-pandemic era, not everybody's going out on a Saturday night anymore, like they were after they would watch the TBS show for WCW, because even if they watch it at 6:05 in the East, they were done at 8 o'clock and they could go out and still have a good time for the rest of Saturday night. Now it's like there's so much to do, but there's also so much to watch.
Where do wrestling fans go on a Saturday night when they're done watching wrestling, though? Cosmic bowling? They ain't going to the strip clubs.
Well, no. Well,
maybe
definitely not the
roller
South
skating.
anyway.
Maybe roller skating. You know.
Is roller skating still a thing?
I think so. Certain,
Back then it was.
yeah.
Back then, absolutely it was back then. But
It
also
still
keep
is
in
around
mind,
here.
but back then, keep in mind, it was on like AEW's on now across all time zones. It was on the same time. So WCW was over at 5:05 in the afternoon. There's plenty of time to do something on Saturday out here in the West Coast. And yeah, player coach is a term I heard a lot with the Kings, Tito, because we had a guy in the system who was coaching for the minor league team that also was a player. So that's where I get that. Anyway.
All right. Well, thanks, Jeff. All right, Walter Cruz, the man, you're the myth of AEW. Oh, wait. But go ahead. You got to speak on this, too. That's Noah. But go ahead.
And more power to them. They were able to retain their EVP. It doesn't make sense to me. I mean, those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. WCW gave way too many people creative control in their contracts and too much crap. And we see what happened with them. And now it seems like AEW doesn't learn. I'm under the belief that if you're an EVP, either choose one. You can't be active and be an EVP because you're going to be too selfish for me. So, but other than that, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You resign, good for you. I'm just, give us what we want is all I'm hoping. Tony Khan gets some guts and books what we all want to see. I mean, a lot of people are talking about Punk versus MJF for the undisputed title, and I just want him to go against Omega. I think he should earn Omega by going through Adam Page and then the two Jackson brothers, and then at pay-per-view ends up having to fight Omega one-on-one at the end result, and that way he worked through all of them. If they can all put their egos aside, and Punk has shown he's willing to work with people. He's been stubborn with some points, but he has shown that he is capable of putting his ego to the side. So let's see if the rest of them can. But get your money, do what you can. I'm all for people keeping jobs and getting jobs. So
now here's what's interesting. Cody said leaving AEW was the easiest decision of his life. Now clearly he's working. He's married to Brandy. That was an easier decision for him, I'm sure. Leaving WWE after all the creative things that they gave him the first time around. So the fact that he's saying that, we know that wasn't the easiest decision of his life because he helped start that. But it's interesting that he puts that up there like that. I don't know. And it's look, he's main eventing WrestleMania now. Brock Lesnar's putting him over, which we're going to talk about.
It's also interesting that Omega purposely mentioned Collision when he said he resigned. He said Collision, and we all know that the rumor was that they put Punk on Collision to keep them separate. So why would he go out there in front of everybody and purposely mention Collision?
Well, Walter, they can appear on Collision when Punk's not there, and they were in the same building together for Forbidden Door. It is possible.
It's possible.
And Virtue, as far as Cody, keep in mind, he did say in the documentary that it was easy, but he also wouldn't disclose.
It's a WWE documentary, right, Jeff?
Well, of course.
Naturally, he's going to say it was the easiest decision to leave AEW.
Well, right, but also, he wouldn't disclose the actual reason, but the reason he did give came out perfectly valid. He wanted to go back and finish the story he originally wanted to tell, and also, it is, regardless of what people think, it is very rare for Vince McMahon to go somewhere to talk to a talent. Usually, the talent comes to him at the office, at the house, whatever. Vince flew to Georgia to talk to Cody. That had to make it a little bit easier, at least. So,
well, hey, look where Cody's at now. All right,
exactly.
Aaron, I'll pass it over to you. You got some super chats as well.
I did see Collision. I'll talk about that here in just a second. As far as the Elite signing new deals, I'm not surprised. I really wasn't expecting them to go to WWE because I felt like the WWE roster is very bloated right now. If Tony Khan is willing to pay the big bucks out to the young bucks and Kenny Omega and Adam Page, good for them. Like Walter said, they're getting a sweet deal. They're going to be big fishes in what is a fairly decent sized pond, not the size of WWE, but it's a pretty big pond, national television. They're about to run all out, 80,000 people. My hope is that Tony Khan will get maximum return on his investment because Omega, the Bucks, They've been doing the same routine now for several years. And like any wrestling television character, at some point you have to shake things up. You have to change up the character. You have to do something different. And as we mentioned, I really hope that whatever issues there still are between CM Punk and the Elite, those can be worked out now that the Elite will be staying with AEW. Everybody wants to see it. Kenny Omega versus CM Punk. I'm hopeful that that will happen at some point. Doesn't look like it's going to be All In. As far as the All In matches go, I did watch Collision. It was solid. I heard the numbers were down quite a bit, but we'll see what happens when they come back next Saturday. You know, it's going to be down when they're up against the WWE pay-per-view. It's a solid card. FTR versus the Young Bucks. That'll be a great match. Samoa Joe versus CM Punk. It'll be entertaining with the personalities in there. MJF versus Adam Cole. You got a solid card. Is it the best card possible? I'm not sure I would go that far, but it's a strong card. I would like to see CM Punk versus Kenny Omega, but that's not going to happen right now. It'll probably be MJF versus CM Punk at All Out in Chicago. And to answer TJS, I do like the X. I like that he did that, and it builds intrigue. MJF and CM Punk, in my opinion, up to this point, has been the best feud in AEW history. I'm all for that being revisited. Jeff?
Are they calling Punk and Joe for the real world championship? Is they qualified as okay?
In quotes. They have real world champion in quotes.
Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, I would like to see these guys evolve in some way. The Young Bucks cannot be the Young Bucks forever. You know what I mean? They're going to age. You can't call them the Young Bucks when they're 45.
They'll just call themselves the Bucks.
I just wish they would stop doing the goddamn super kicks.
Right.
It's the gimmick. It's their gimmick. You talk about stick to your stick. That's their damn stick.
But here's the thing, Noah.
It's possible.
Listen, Noah. Like the Bucks will not. They should change their style and prove people wrong. Will Ospreay has kind of evolved, right? Why can't the Young Bucks?
Their choice, Virtue. I'm just saying that's what they do, and I can validate this because my friend, who truly is about the Elite, he gives me the knowledge on their sneakers every damn week. We do a watch party. Hi, King.
I just wish there was a match where they actually ban. Like, it's to the point they should do that. Just ban the super kick as a stipulation. See what else these guys
did
can.
It for John. Why not? You know.
That maybe a few will eventually cause that to be out of the question. If they build FTR and Young Bucks like that, I would try and do something like that. Really make the Young Bucks almost in a vulnerable situation. Can the Young Bucks actually win without a super kick? ...
And as far as the Bucks, Aaron, you can't call them the Young Bucks. I mean, you can call them the old. Oh wait, I don't know NoDQ. I can't use that word tonight. But you could, because they are getting there. They're older than me, or at least only a couple years younger than me, and I'm definitely old. So yeah, there is that.
Well, I just say you're as old as you feel, but I've been stressing since I was 18 years old.
I was gonna say, if you're as old as you feel, the Bucks got to be 75 each with all the stress they've dealt with last year.
Right.
Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Says, who should be the fourth guy to join the CM FTR against the Elite?
I think they should just leave it 3-on-3 because, again, Kenny Omega, for me, he stands out from the Elite because he is a guy that constantly changes his performance, evolves his story. Whoever he's in the ring with, he proves it with the fact he's been wrestling every damn company that's not WWE. So I don't think there needs to be a fourth guy, personally. I just think Kenny Omega is better as a single star, if I'm just being straight up.
Well, was Brawl Out, was Kenny involved in Brawl Out, or was Paige, or was both? That we know of. Or that we heard. How about that?
Well, as far as we heard, I thought it was just the Bucks and Heyman, because Kenny Omega's the first guy that says, yeah, I was the first one to try and neutralize the situation.
So if Kenny wasn't directly involved in the Brawl Out thing, then yeah, you can do 3-on-3 and it'd be okay. But if you're going to leave Kenny as part of the Elite, because he is part of the Elite, and we're having Walter screen by himself just to be spammy and trolly, but okay, cool. Then I would say wait till Bryan Danielson's healthy and put him in there with them, because Bryan has been Punk's solid, ally, and there's definitely no love lost with the Elite versus the BCC either. So
Yeah, that's true. And Bryan Danielson actually respects Kenny Omega, so Bryan Danielson would probably be willing to do that. Bryan Danielson, Kenny Omega is still also unfinished. Honestly, now that I think about it, maybe they could run CM Punk and Kenny Omega at Grand Slam. Even if it goes to another 30-minute draw, that just saying if people actually remember that history, it still leaves them maybe wanting more, and you finally get a tease of what the match could be. You just don't get a finish. And it's a bigger show than normal TV.
If they're not going to run it back on the next 2 pay-per-views, then Grand Slam's their next big feature episode of Dynamite and Rampage, so why not?
Yeah.
Walter's alive.
Aaron, you finish up these super chats?
Yeah. Psychojet Black sent in $2. We haven't touched on this yet. The whole controversy with the AEW women. And I'll just say this. I'm not there backstage, so I don't know. I'm not getting involved. I just pass along what is out there, what people are saying, but none of us are there. So we don't know if there's dissension in the AEW women's locker room.
Don't know who Lufisto is and don't care. So that's my stance on it.
Me neither. They just gave the women the main event on Dynamite, so.
Yeah, it wasn't the best week to try and attack the AEW locker room, and they were all very quick to put out their statements all at the same time, and they're very defensive. And maybe there's nothing going on. Maybe there is something, but we're not backstage, so we don't know. It's all gossip.
It's not the first time we've heard critical criticism on women's wrestling / the women's wrestling, particularly in AEW. So, I mean, again, seeing is believing. As far as I'm concerned, Hikaru Shida, new AEW Women's World Champion, the women event at Dynamite, you're saying that all the women came out in stance on social media, apparently, in support of what they've culminated in the locker room. What else needs to be said?
I've not worked with anybody that was thrown under the bus by Lufisto, but I have worked in the same locker room as Lufisto, and that's pretty much par for the course for her. So I'm not surprised that she decided to run her mouth. So we'll see. We'll see what happens going forward because, like you said, Aaron, a lot of people were very quick to come to the locker room's defense, including Max, who stepped way out of character.
Yeah.
So
MJF?
He did.
For those that don't know, I don't have.
This is where you got to ask yourself, everybody: would Roman Reigns do that? Would anybody in WWE, they're the high level, do that? Ugh. I hate it, dude. When I saw that from MJF,
but Virtue, do you have the WWE extras doing this? No, you don't, because WWE vets the people they bring in. If they bring in somebody that's going to be as sourpuss as Lufisto, then they're gonna nip it in the bud before it gets to this point. That's the difference between the two companies. Yes, the world champion didn't need to step in, but the fact that it was MJF more as Max than MJF speaking his mind about it.
Did you see CM Punk comment on it?
No, because Punk doesn't need to comment on it. Nobody needed to comment on it. I'm not disagreeing with you. It's just the person that laid the allegations has been more of a problem child than a valued roster member across the board. So that's my problem with it, is that, she was used once and didn't get over like Rover and got pissy about it. That's shitty on her part.
Disgruntled worker. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Aaron, continue or we move on.
We can move on. I don't know if there's going to be any more news, if you want to call it news, regarding this stuff, but stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest. Darren G sent in a very generous $10 super chat. I guess we could talk about this now, since it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with this year's SummerSlam, because I would be surprised if anybody picked it as their number one. But Darren G said, what is your favorite SummerSlam of all time? When you fit this in, might have already been discussed in the past. He has short-term memory, but quickest idea for a super chat. Very much appreciate the super chat. And my answer is not 2023. My answer would probably be 2002 with Shawn Michaels versus Triple H, Rock versus Brock Lesnar. That was a great SummerSlam. I also like the 98 SummerSlam, and 2000 SummerSlam was another solid one. Noah?
I'm just gonna kind of name the two key ones for me, but I still go with the bar, in my opinion, that brought me into business in the first place. 1992, British Bulldog, and if it wasn't for that SummerSlam, I probably wouldn't be the fan that I am today. So that always stands out for me. But yeah, I think 98 also because again that ladder match was awesome. 2002 was a big moment. Next big thing coming to the rise, of course. So yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? 2013 was a really fun SummerSlam. Of all the LA SummerSlams, that was my favorite one. Now, I'm thinking Jeff is not going to pick 2014. Am I correct in that, Jeff?
No, I actually was going to say 13 because that was when I came back to the family. NoDQ. I hosted the after party at Hooters with you guys. That was a wonderful night. Randy Orton kind of pissed in the Kool-Aid a little bit with his caption, but that's okay. We were happy for Brian in the end at WrestleMania, so it was okay.
And Jeff, I really like 91 also, and even 92.
91 was really good. It wasn't a good show overall, but it was the first SummerSlam I saw, and I actually didn't see it live. That was the first ever Coliseum home video I ever ordered. And I even got I was trying to find a picture of it because I don't have it here, but it came with little save the date refrigerator sticker for Randy and Liz's wedding. I thought that was funnier than hell. So I still have that. The videotape is what it is. It doesn't play worth its shit now, but I still have that little save your date thing for the match made in heaven wedding. So 91 for me. 98 was so good at the Garden. Just the Attitude Era was on point. And JJ's going to be reviewing that this week on the Council 18. So definitely check out his review. That was actually the first show he watched or that he and his dad ordered on pay-per-view for WWE. So definitely worth a listen to what he thinks of that show. But I think that show more than any other show in 98 was this is the Attitude Era. Well, there you go. There it is. 2002 was so good. Again, Brock and Rock, Hunter and Sean. Most of the LA SummerSlams were fun because I got to go to most of them. I don't remember much of 2010, but I know I was there. Aaron remembers that one more than I do because he and a former co-host helped nurse made me through a post show. God bless them. 2014, other than the main event, was a decent show. It was a horrible ending and
traumatic.
Yeah. I'll put it this way. I will always be grateful to Aaron and the people in his party that night for getting me out of the building without having a complete breakdown. I melted down pretty good, but not a complete breakdown. And
were you worried for Cody during the match this year with Brock that maybe Brock was going to do to him what he did to Cena?
It wasn't enjoyable to watch. I was glad I was in the green room, put it that way. I'm glad I wasn't on screen. Actually, no, I was on screen. I take that back. No, wait.
Yeah, you were.
No, I'm sorry. I was on screen during the main event, not during Cody Brock. But it was definitely difficult to watch, but not as difficult as watching.
Yeah, I know Cena that has traumatized you for life.
It's just one of those things that you're in a situation. There's nothing you can do, and you're literally an entire 20,000 seat arena away from it, and you can't do anything about it except sit there and just
could have jumped the barricade and tried to help John.
Could have, but that wouldn't have got me gotten anything back.
You would have been carried out by security.
I'd rather leave the show disruption to people like Enzo Amore. We're good on that.
Damn.
All right. I guess Virtue will get your opinion since Walter's got his mic on mute.
I don't know. I like the early 90s SummerSlams. Like, they all blend into me since then.
Well,
I'll say 05 because Jericho Cena with the mixed reactions for Cena for like the first time where it was really big. And then the comedy of Shawn Michaels and Hulk Hogan. That was great.
There you go.
That was great.
I'm surprised you didn't say 94, Brett versus Owen in the cage.
Yeah.
Well, the early 90s, like 90 through 94, 95, those SummerSlams really stick out. I was even at the one in 96 in Cleveland with the Boiler Room Brawl.
Oh, there you go.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Walter, what are your thoughts?
I know that.
92, 02, and I would say 88, the one that started it all. Is 88 the one that started it all?
Yep.
Is that the right one? 88,
Ultimate Warrior Hockey Talk, man, and now hockey's run is about to come to an end. His record is about to be broken finally, but we'll get to that in a few moments here. We do have a few more super chats.
Man,
Big 94. Is that the Taker versus Taker 94?
Yeah, so maybe not that SummerSlam. Shout out to Big Baller G. We love you, Big G. He says, hope everyone is doing good. Can't wait to be on a review again. Miss all the banter. We miss you too, Big G. And he's also securing a spot for a future No DQ review.
That's
he
right.
knows how to play the game. And we love you, Big G. Follow him at Big Baller G on No DQ and TikTok and Twitter, X.
All the stuff. All the social medias.
Psycho Jet Black sent in $5. Thank you for that, Psycho Jet Black. Says, seriously, does it feel like most of the WWE main event roster in 2023 has more consistent wrestling and better matches than the roster 10 years ago in 2013? Yeah, I would say so. What do you guys think, Noah?
There's justification for that argument, but also different roster, different time, different era. I mean, you think about, again, 10 years ago, that was around the season of WrestleMania 29 where they couldn't book a main event without The Rock and John Cena involved. And here you have Jey Uso and Roman Reigns. So, I mean, again, I feel like there's constantly been an evolution. There has been setbacks, especially in the later 2010s. We're not going to go there. But, I would say there definitely has been some incredible improvement.
Jeff, any thoughts on that one?
The 2013 roster, I think, was good. I think the roster they have now, if they showcased everybody equally, would be better overall. But I think there's arguments both directions. By the way, Aaron, I found that picture if you want to check your inbox. I found I was looking for Summerslam 91. But I would say it's an argument both ways for me. I guess I'm just wishy-washy like that. But yeah, exactly. 13, you had Cena, you had Punk, you had Daniel Bryan, at that point. You had Brock Lesnar. You had pretty decent tag teams. The only thing I think that the balance is lopsided toward
Women's
now
division.
is the women's division, I think, is better in WWE now than it was in 13.
For sure.
There's no argument there.
And the celebrity division.
That's what I was going to say. The celebrity department.
They really have grown a celebrity division, which we will talk about.
Well, God, when we were out here, the most memorable thing is the Celeb Fest thing with Piven and freaking Jon Stewart. So, I mean, actually, Jon Stewart was back in Brooklyn, but even still, he was here for one of them here too. So, yeah, when the biggest celebrities are the guy that can't even get the damn name of the event right, you got issues.
Walter.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I was going to say what Virtue said, the celebrities is 1,000 times better than the women. So, but there's an argument to be made with that. So it's a true statement.
All right, Virtue, any thoughts on that? And then we'll move to the next topic.
Nope.
All right.
Covered it. All right. This topic. So we hear that maybe Big E's being advised not to return to wrestling. Now, we've known a lot of wrestlers that have had neck injuries that we never thought would do anything again. And I believe all the main ones over the last 20 years have. So what happens when your neck is healing? See, with modern advances, a wrestler could be told not to wrestle right now. 2-3 years down the line, they could be cleared. And I think in wrestling with Big E's age, we can never say never, because we said that about a bunch of wrestlers. Edge has come back. Daniel Bryan has come back. Paige has even technically came back. But you need to do something. Like, I can't see him just going away from wrestling. What he should do is be an on-screen personality. He can talk. He can be the mascot of the New Day. He can come out and be a manager. I don't know, but what's everyone's thoughts here on Big E? Like, just because he has a bad neck doesn't mean he can't be on TV, because I'm pretty sure he can walk and do stuff like that. Jeff Meacham, what do you think here? He's an entertaining guy. I know sometimes it's tough to be on TV and not do certain things, but why not?
It would really depend on what E wants to do. I mean, you talk about, the guy, everybody's different on that front. Edge, had to step away, and I think he said in interviews, he couldn't be around it. Like, he didn't want to be around the boys and be around the roster if he couldn't be active like he was, which is why he waited so long to make sure everything was cleared, make sure everything was ready to go. Same with Brian. He only really, well, no, that's not true. Brian actually stayed on GM. I take that back. It really
he was trying to get fired, Jeff.
What's that?
He was trying to get fired.
I mean, that's fair too. Yeah, I would like to see Big E continue in an on-screen role. I just don't know if he'll. I mean, I'm sure. I don't know E personally, but I'm sure he misses being around everybody. But would he be able to be okay with not being okay long term? Would he have to? Would he be okay with having to just be another on-air personality? Could he be a manager without having to be a working Bobby Heenan style manager? Because with something like that, any slight boo-boo is just a recipe for disaster. So he would have to be relegated to, a on-air, on mic personality, not at ringside or in the ring. I don't see that as being the right move for him. As a fan, I wouldn't want to see him unless I knew that he was okay with it, if that makes any sense. I know I kind of got long-winded there. I'm sorry. I do that a lot.
Well, they're not going to pay him once his contract's over to do nothing. He wants to make money. So, yeah, I'm sure something's going to get worked out. I mean, Wade Barrett is an announcer. Like, there's so many people we see come back to JBL came back. You tell me, like, Big E, there's no room for him. He's gonna be on TV doing something if he can't compete. That's just my gut feeling, and it's gonna be WWE.
Well, yeah. I don't see him going anywhere else. They've, he and the New Day, and I said that about people before. They'll never leave at WWE, and everybody freaking leaves except John Cena and Undertaker. So, but what do I know? I'd like to see him, remain with the company if he's willing to do an on-air role, and I'd like to see him if he feels like he can thrive, he should stay.
Yep. All right, Noah.
It's one of those things where, again, Big E for me, he was always my favorite out of the New Day. He always had that charisma, that personality, that potential. And to think, this was the guy that used to be like, three's not enough, I need 5, or a quiet big bodyguard for Dolph Ziggler. If he's willing to be part of the on-screen product, I say have him try his hand at commentary. Corey Graves, for example, literally did everything he could to redefine himself when he could no longer compete, and he's now a mainstay voice of the WWE product, whether you like it or not. With the fact that they have Michael Cole now going to be calling both Raw and SmackDown, the guy literally has no breaks, almost like me. It feels like they need that type of personality. So if Big E's willing to learn and try and sit in that, I think that'd be a good role for him. He has that energy. He has that voice. He should be a guy to market and promote if he can't necessarily be at, the ring itself. Even being at ringside as a commentator, I think if he's willing to do that, definitely is a role there. I don't know if I can see him as a manager. I mean, Bobby Lashley's becoming a manager now for the freaking Hurt Business 2.0, turning the Street Profits heel. I think Big E wants more than that. It's one of those things where I feel like if Big E wants to get back in the ring, they need to find some capacity to still use his talents and his love for this business that doesn't affect him negatively mentally. So at the end of the day, while this is, you're trying to make a living, make money, make something for your family, Big E needs to find something to make himself happy. I would love to see him try his hand at commentary, but besides that, I'm not really sure at this point what he should do. It's like chasing the dragon, Undertaker's documentary. I don't know what Big E's chasing right now. I don't think Big E knows what he wants to do.
Well said. Walter, I'm going to come right over to you on this. By the way, I have a big thunderstorm coming through here in case I cut out.
Oh, shit.
Everybody knows.
Damn,
Walter?
Ohio.
Well, first of all, if this is the end, my heart goes out to him. I don't like to see something taken away from somebody, a job like that. Like, I'd rather see somebody go out on their own terms. It's always sad to see that. But I think there's something. He's too big of a personality to have nothing to do. Like, I mean, I would replace Booker T in commentary because that's Shucky Ducky.
Oh, my God, yes.
I'm sick of that. So you might
accurate.
Do that now.
Yeah, exactly.
Please.
But he'll make a great ambassador for the company. He's well spoken. Yes. He can go out there to different parts of the country, different countries, and speak WWE up. Maybe he can go into acting. So who knows? WWE. I don't even know if WWE Studios is a thing. Do they still make movies? I don't really know.
Right now, there's a strike going on.
Yeah, nobody's making anything right now.
Exactly. But yeah,
luck fall season.
He's too fun. He's too big of a personality to not have some role. They'll have something for him. Plus, he got injured on TV in wrestling. Like, they'll have something for him to do, like just to avoid any lawsuits or anything. They'll have something for him to do. So hopefully everything's well with him. And I do feel bad. I never like to see someone not go out on their own terms.
Mm-hmm.
It's sports entertainment, so
Exactly.
we'll see. Aaron, anything you want to add to this before we move to SummerSlam?
Not too much. I hope that he is able to come back, but at the end of the day, he should do what's best for his health and his own personal well-being. If it's the end for him, he's had a great career. Jury is out on it, I think, although the fact that he hasn't come back up to this point, I think, is a concerning sign that he might not be cleared ever, but you never know. Edge came back. Numerous people came back when we thought they were done. They haven't officially announced him as retired or going into the Hall of Fame or anything like that. So it may just be, we don't know, and we have to wait and see. And maybe 6 months from now, he'll come back. Maybe a year, maybe never. We don't know. Jeff?
Maybe you can work alongside Taz O'Neill as a community ambassador, like Walter mentioned.
I was going to say, Titus is doing that. Mark Henry was doing that before he left. But as far as the thing in Hollywood goes, man, I guarantee NBC and USA and Fox are going to be like, can you guys do more? Because we're hurt until football actually starts. Thanks.
Right?
I'll just add one thing. I'm just glad they pulled the trigger when they did, and he got to, at least he can say, I've been a WWE champion. At least there's not like something missing from the president where he goes, I got to go back and do that and then risk his life again. Like he can say, hey, I've been the champion. I've did all I want to do.
I reached the summit.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I said my piece on it, Virtue. I'm ready to talk about SummerSlam.
SummerSlam. All right, I'm going to get this out real quick in case I get cut out. But first of all, SummerSlam fallout. I mean, Reigns retained. Jimmy came back and looks like he's reunited with the Bloodline. Cost Jay. Rollins retained. Gunther retained. We had a new women's champion again in Bianca Belair, but she lost it on a Money in the Bank cash into Iyo Sky. We saw Logan Paul do his thing, and then in the same day, go watch his brother Jake box against Nate Diaz. I mean, that's superstar type thing right there. And of course, Cody over Lesnar. So a lot to unpack there. Aaron was there. Aaron, we'll come back to you. Noah, you were there as well. Let's start with you. Thoughts on SummerSlam?
What a tremendous premium live event. I loved it. I mean, you basically covered all the basic summaries there. First off, I'm surprised they went as far as they did with Ricochet and Logan Paul. In my opinion, Logan Paul right now, he really has found a person he can't wrestle with or showcase with. So that was definitely a showcase match right there. Hey. And also the idea that making it personal with Smith or Irvin leaves the idea that they could run this back. But I think they saved Logan Paul for the bigger shows because of his celebrity status quo, even though I'm pretty sure he signed to like a full like contract. So I'm curious how they fought with that. The level of respect Brock Lesnar showed Cody to the degree that Undertaker did with Jeff Hardy really told me right there, all right, you proved something to me. You're no longer a little boy. You are a man. I think that Cody Rhodes really proved not only his worth, but how much he truly is willing to dedicate. I guess the term pectoral muscle wasn't enough. So I feel that was a really like interesting moment right there with him and Brock Lesnar passing up the torch. You definitely conquered, or, you know, I was humbled by what you withstood from me. I don't need the rest of you again. Now go and prove something to me. Finish your story. As far as Gunther, like I said, I have not cared about the Intercontinental Championship since Miz 2016. His throwback style and just the way he presents himself as a champion of this mid-card title, making it workhorse, making it seem so much bigger. I love it. He's going to be the longest reigning champion in this modern era, in my opinion. As far as the Battle Royal, only one thing matters. L.A. Knight. Yeah, he freaking won. And I'm very happy for that, but I do hope bigger things for him. As far as the Ronda Rousey Shayna Baszler thing, that was the most intriguing presentation bit for me because they tried to merge MMA and WWE in the same capacity. Even with the referee, as I looked at the watch along, by the way, Jeff, great job with you in the multiverse. I tried to explain the rules. You can't make an MMA fight feel like what it was at SummerSlam.
You can't. Noah, like this is what I kept saying. You can't have a fake, real fight in front of wrestling fans.
Yep.
Who know too much. You can't.
Yep.
You can't do it. I can't believe
Like
they even
Brawl for All.
attempted it.
Yeah,
Back in the day with Owen and the
Right.
Lion's Den and stuff, it kind of worked because it was Attitude Era. It was something different during that segment.
Mm-hmm.
And people were excited for Stone Cold later. I just, man, this bad choice for WWE.
Yeah,
to
it was a horrible choice. The Stam chanted, "This is boring." You screwed up.
Noah, let me add something to this because there was a comment here, I believe, from Scorpio about the crowd being mid. Now, Jeff, Walter, Virtue, I know you guys saw it on television, and you can tell me if I'm wrong or not. But for me and Noah, we felt the vibe of the crowd. I felt that they were really hot for a lot of the show. Now, here's what happened. They were red hot for the first 3 matches. They were into pretty much everything. They were very much invested in what was going on. But the Ronda and Shayna match, they died for that. People were going to the bathroom.
Played out, you could tell on TV it died.
Yeah,
the energy right out of the building, definitely.
People were walking out of the stadium.
I posted the video. It has like 1 million views on Twitter. People were going to the bathroom, and they were chanting, "This is boring." And it took a while to get the crowd back. Like, it was a struggle. I think for the Finn Balor, Seth Rollins match, like, they were struggling a little bit. But then when Damian Priest came out there, it flipped 180. The crowd got into it. They were very much into it when Dominic and Rhea Ripley were out there.
They were waiting for that moment.
Yeah, they were chanting, "This is awesome." And then the triple threat with the women, it was a little bit of a struggle, but it did pick up as the match went on. And Iyo, Noah, I think you would agree with me, Iyo cashing in, that was maybe the biggest pop of the night. Like, they went insane for Iyo when she came out there. Like, it was incredible. As I tweeted, like, it sounded like the roof of the building was going to blow off. Like, what do you think, Noah?
It was like a screaming, like, echo was being implanted in your chest when Iyo Sky cashed in with success. That was definitely the biggest pop next to LA Knight, if you want to try and match him, especially when LA Knight won versus when he came in. Because it was a bigger pop when he won versus his entrance. But yeah, Virtue, basically that round of Shayna match, it killed the crowd for what Gunther and McIntyre tried to draw them back into, and they did to a degree, but they really weren't back fully into the premium live event, the presentation, till they got to seeing Seth freaking Rollins' Fiend. And then Seth and Finn, they basically did what they've done best for the last 7 years. Come out, show out, tell a story. There is even an homage with the gear that Seth wore. But when Judgment Day came out, they tried to throw every trick in the book, and it wasn't enough. And then you saw the end angle. That definitely was a big gasp moment for the crowd, because now there is dissension within Judgment Day. Possibly everything fine, you tell me. And then, of course, everything culminated with what they called tribal combat. And for once, Mark Rome got to introduce the main event. How about that hot nonsense? And I'm giving credit. He must be taking lessons from Samantha Irvin. Did a pretty decent job. I still think Paul Heyman's better. And I will say this, as far as the tribal combat, I think it took a moment for the audience to register what was happening as they're trying to build up that emotional suspense. Like, I think you and several people here, even in the chat, said, when you watch Roman Reigns, when you watch the Bloodline, you even talk about giving Paul Heyman a freaking Emmy or whatever the biggest entertainment award is in Hollywood.
Emmy.
It's cinema. And the thing about cinema is, like, when you watch a movie, there's the intro, there's the slow burn in, and then things start picking up and you start reaching a climax, hence Solo Sokola. And then you wonder how things will, escalate from there. Roman spearing Solo was a big holy moment. And then Jay hitting the useful splash after that. People thought that Jay might have had it. And it still wasn't enough, but Jay was able to basically keep control for a duration of that match following that. The fact that Jay had the entire stadium in his hand doing this in his entrance really shows the growth that cool. Roman and this Bloodline saga has had for him since Payback 2020 became the right-hand man. Now he truly is main event man. But I think about what happened at the end of that match, like Cain and Abel, a brother betrayal. He just didn't kill him, but I think he killed his momentum proverbially. Jimmy Uso doing that, I don't think it's so much Jimmy Uso about going back to the Bloodline. I almost look at this 2 ways. Is it envy? Is it what he believes he is saving Jay from becoming? Does he believe that Jay could become Roman Reigns if he got the victory? Or is he truly envious of it? There are more questions than answers, but that was definitely the biggest what the F moment of the night, as people said, piece of S to Jimmy. Overall, though, the SummerSlam presentation, besides the Ronda and Shayna thing, it was a really great experience. The audience was mostly into it again, and I enjoyed the show overall. I gave it an A-.
Now, Noah, the crowd, I felt like they were tired for the main event. So if it sounded like there wasn't a lot of crowd heat during the main event. Well,
Not
the crowd
till
was
Jimmy.
tired. That was a long show, over 4 hours. And
Yeah.
I've complained about AEW shows going too long. So same energy here. Was not a fan of the show being as long as it was. And
AEW has that deadlock time where they go 3 hours, 58 minutes, 30 seconds. SummerSlam went 4 hours and 10 minutes, including a video recap that they like to do now post-show. But yeah, you can definitely tell when after the entrances and they acknowledge me and the match is just slowly emotionally brewing, the crowd might as well have been sleeping. You heard nothing but a vacuum energy.
And the problem is that they have the long ramp there, so the guys and gals take forever to get to the ring. Roman's entrance takes like 10 minutes. And then they do all the video packages, which I get because you want people that are casual viewers to know what the storylines are. But that takes up a lot of time, and it just goes on so long. And like everybody's thinking like, we got to get out of this stadium afterwards. And Mr. Tito mentioned it earlier. Thankfully, my wife Caitlin's boss works right across the street from Little Caesars, and we were able to park in her
nice.
Yeah, we were able to park in her parking spot. Yeah. So that was very helpful. But yeah, I heard stories. I think Caitlin's nephew who was there took like 2 hours to get out of his parking garage. So people are thinking about that. They just want to go home at that point. They don't want to be. They don't want to be there really, but they want to see the main event. So it's kind of a tough spot.
I mean, as soon as they heard the bell ring, people were leaving in droves like, okay, we made it. That's it. They were a bit burnt out. They didn't pick up again till the Jimmy moment, if nothing else.
How far is Little Caesars from Ford Field?
It's less than a 10-minute walk.
10 minutes.
And for context, we're talking about the arena Little Caesars and not Little Caesars Pizza, folks. Like
correct.
Well, I mean, the Little Caesars headquarters is on Woodward Avenue, but
well, no, it
is,
about
10 minutes.
But it's just, old school sports fans are going to remember the Joe Louis Arena. It's like, that's long gone, which sucks.
Right.
Still jealous of people that got to see the Joe. But
all right. Noah, are you all set for your SummerSlam? Are you good to pass it on?
That's my SummerSlam summary. It was a great time.
Okay. Jeff, so there was a lot to unpack. Like, I could get into a whole rage right now about fans' expectations for a 3 to 4 hour event. They want every moment to cheer and ooh and ah. And wrestling shows never were like that back in the day. There'd be boring filler in there, purposely done for a reason to make the main event seem more meaningful. But now fans want everything up to the main event, but then they're tired by the main event. And I'm not even going to rant about that. Jeff, remember when Jimmy got basically kicked out of the bloodline? Before any articles were written on NoDQ, I think it was the review after, I said, oh, yeah, he's coming back.
Right.
And people scoffed at me, and here we are. Virtue was right again. Now, we don't know officially if he's really back to bloodline or if it's just Jake. But,
right.
But I was a little shocked when Paul Heyman said bottom of the third inning, because it was only the beginning of the third inning at WrestleMania. I'm calling this a seventh inning stretch. Yeah. We're only in the bottom of the third inning, Jeff. What do you think here? SummerSlam.
So, again, like you said, a lot to unpack. You did bring up the fact that you mentioned Jimmy during the chat yesterday, and I wholeheartedly agree that, you were right in the fact that he was going to be back, but I also disagree that I don't think he's back with the bloodline. I think he's just jealous of Jay's status. As far as the whole show, I think I have a unique perspective now more than I ever used to, and I say that because I watched almost the entire show with the crowd and the commentary and the entire TV muted because I'm producing my own stuff. So I didn't have a problem with the energy of the matches, like the majority of the crowd apparently did, and the majority of the viewing audience at home did. I actually enjoyed the matches as they went along. I mentioned during open mic night that I really think the only match that was worthy of getting up and going on a potty or a snack run was the Battle Royal, because it was filler. The Battle Royal was filler other than getting LA Knight a spot on the show. That's really what that was.
Yeah.
And he's not, Jid is not wrong either. Unfortunately, it just is what it is. But I enjoyed the show. I enjoyed getting to watch it and having having my own perspective, which I think has become more valuable to me as a fan. People have talked for years about, fans are so jaded now, fans are so cynical. It's like I am able to have my own experience, especially when I'm on the headset, not calling the action on screen or not, do anything but watching and having to make sure my guys are coordinated because I get to watch the show. And I thought every match hit where it needed to hit. I did enjoy the opening match very well. I love the little drama there between Sam Irvin and Logan Paul. I love that Logan Paul and Brock Lesnar went back to back because Brock's probably going, well, hell, if Logan can leave early, I want to leave early too. This is bullshit. I'm out of here. Bye. And they both left early. It was good stuff.
Get out of downtown Detroit while you can.
And God bless Logan, dude. He flew where I don't know where Jake and Nate were fighting last night, but
Dallas.
He flew and Dallas. Okay, so he flew straight down from from Michigan and caught the fight. And he was there when Jake beat Nate Diaz, which was like,
and that's so good for WWE.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah,
like that is so good for WWE.
I watched the fight. I watched the pay-per-view. They mentioned it 4 times. Logan was on a private jet on the way to the arena.
Yeah. And honestly, I think that's good for the Paul brothers because their rep is not exactly squeaky clean. The fact that they were able to both have positive nights last night was so good for them. But you're right, Virtue. Definitely good for WWE. The fact that they had their recently signed global megastar, media mogul guy, for lack of a better term, cross brands, go to a boxing fight. Yes, it's his brother's fight, but still get his shit in, as Brian Cage would say, and then get off to the fight. That's good cross promotion. Well done there,
dude. And there were indie wrestlers that I follow on Twitter, oh, I can't believe he wore his gear. He did that specifically for a reason to prove I just competed in Detroit, won my match, came down to support my brother, and he was branding WWE by keeping his gear on. That's why he's in WWE. And some of these indie people, they get jaded over gear, keep your gear hidden. God, there's reasons. Logan Paul's in marketing
on the
genius.
boxing pay-per-view. On the boxing pay-per-view, they called him WWE Superstar Logan Paul several times. They didn't just say Logan Paul. They kept mentioning WWE.
Then they had a graphic, a graphic of his name that said WWE Superstar.
Oh yeah. So it's stuff like that. It's stuff like Sonya Deville going to, I forget what basketball game she went to recently, where she had the belt with her. Right. And, WWE superstar Sonya Deville, and she's at I think it was either a Brooklyn game or one of the other, I forget what the hell she was. I don't even know. But yeah. So yeah, the whole celebrity promotion of WWE without them having really to try. It's just like, okay, I got my belt on. But even then it doesn't happen a lot of the time too. They just show up and the game goes across the ticker. That's what's happening. The mainstream acceptance of WWE is happening again. Much like it was during the Hogan era and during the early Attitude Era. Because once it got into the 2000 and, the PTC was doing their thing and being a bunch of assholes and, overly critical of stuff, it kind of got wiggy. But I liked the show. I personally liked SummerSlam top to bottom. I didn't think there was a bad match. JJ made a point in the chat about, they could have easily done the Battle Royal on a different night and had Trish and Becky be on the show. I don't disagree with that, especially if they're going to try to keep Trish as a heel and they're going to have the show and can't have their match in Canada. That's just a recipe for Becky getting booed out of the damn ring. But, I'm not booking the territory. I'm just commenting on it, unfortunately. But I enjoyed the show. I have not watched it back entirely on Peacock yet, but I will definitely probably have a better or a different opinion or an overall more informed opinion once I watch the full presentation and back versus just muted. But I enjoyed it.
And all the branding, like you mentioned, Jeff and Virtue. I mean, think about it. There were multiple branding moments at SummerSlam, and you and I both know that, Aaron. They had the Slim Jim Battle Royal, and they talked about Gunther versus Drew McIntyre brought to you by Rocket Mortgage. So there you go.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, there were. Yeah.
When you're a business, that's how you operate. And wrestling fans, Logan, stick to YouTube. I saw Lou in the chat say that. WWE is a global juggernaut for a reason. When we're in an era where their TV ratings are a fraction of what they used to be, yet they continue to make more money than ever. And I'm not just talking about revenue. I'm talking about bottom line. It's because It's global. They make money from all types of channels.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's why they do what they do.
They're doing more sponsored matches now on their pay-per-views.
I was at Virtue. I'm glad you brought it up, Aaron. Answer however you want to answer it, because I know it's kind of inside baseball or whatever. But I've noticed on my end of things, the revenue just from watching the show, not super chats, anything like that, just for watch/ad clicks has gone up in the last year or two. Would you agree that's the same thing on your end as well? Or is it pretty much a good balance still?
I feel like it's roughly the same. I haven't noticed anything significant.
I know it's for me, I was having to claw and scratch and piss and moan to get super chats because the bottom line, the watch clicks and the ad stuff was just hurting. And now, especially in this year, 2023, that number has changed significantly and gone up. The super chats are still steady, but the overall number has gone up a lot from just people watching, and that's indicative of WWE being a stronger product. Like I said, Richie, they're making money in every way, and they're improving in every facet except the ratings numbers. Which again, how much do we rely on those these days, right? AEW, for all the bullshit we give them about their ratings, people are still watching the product. They're still buying the merch. They're still ordering the pay-per-views. Even Impact is still the little engine that could. They're still struggling along. New Japan's getting a bigger audience in this country. Wrestling's good again.
It may be a little virtue, but hey, a little is better than nothing. And everybody
But it's for that fan
growing.
base, it's big. But in the grand scheme of things, it's little because WWE is so popular or big.
Right.
AEW is there now. All right, Walter, I'm going to come over to you. And thoughts on SummerSlam. And, why do I have a sneaking suspicion? See, people get upset when the thing like what happened with Jimmy and Jay happens. And watch some mafia and mob movies.
Right?
There's love, hate. There's tough love. I will not, and I'm sticking by this. If there is a little Jimmy and Jay spat to kill some time, I still think the bloodline at some point again will stand strong all together. And then we're going to be like, oh, my God, the blood. It'll make the blood of the bloodline even thicker that they endured a civil war. We're seeing – Paul Heyman said bottom of the third inning. I'm starting to believe this now. All right, thoughts on SummerSlam?
I said that.
Bloodline fallout.
Go ahead. The end game is for this group to be faced and to be loved. So you got to go through the crap you got to go through with family to end up getting there. And you called it all along too. They're gonna get the reactions for Roman that they wanted all along. People said they shoved it on their face. Vince always wanted the chair. They're gonna get it. They're gonna find a way to flip this whole thing on its head, and then they're gonna be the face group of Bloodline. But in SummerSlam, it was awesome. The only thing, like everybody already said, it was Shayna and Ronda. It kind of sucked the energy out of the TV. So you guys were live. You saw it. People went to the bathroom and things. That's really the only negative. Gunther went at it with Drew. I liked it. I was reading a lot of people reviews saying they thought it was going to be a 5-star slugfest. You can't get that all the time. It's like they did what they did, and it might lead to another match. I predicted that Gunther was going to retain, but then they're going to get to the rematch, and Drew will win that title. They just need him to break Honky Tonk's record. So, it'll get there eventually. You got to be patient. Everything else was good. The Battle Royal, the only issue I have with it is I wish they announced some stakes to it. Like, what the hell was the point of the Battle Royal? Just to say LA Knight won something?
And make seven figures from
I think the winner should have been the new
check for $1 million.
The winner should have been the new spokesperson for Slim Jim, because remember how it was Macho Man? Oh, snap into a Slim Jim. Oh, yeah. Snap into a Slim Jim. Yeah.
LA Knight was in a Slim Jim commercial right after the match.
Yeah, they actually played that.
They said they got sponsorship. Say they're a new.
But when you go to the 7-Eleven, the Slim Jim, there should be the cardboard cutout of LA Knight right next to it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Walter, what else do you got?
You got to do something. I don't know. Give him a title. There was like, what the hell was the point? I was a little nervous when Omos came out. First, I said he's still a thing. Then I went, they're gonna give me the Big Show treatment, and they're gonna all pile up. But other than that, so the Brock thing, if you believe it, that people are saying that Triple H said he did that all on his own and put Cody.
Did his shorts rip?
Yeah, they said that he didn't do that. So
I did not see that in the stadium, but I did see the photo of it.
Shorts
ripped far out, Aaron, but yeah.
But good for Brock to put him over now. it solidifies Cody, so it's good to see where they go. But this Jimmy thing, I would love to go ahead. Like Jeff said it last night, nothing, and I agree, nothing compares to Brett versus Owen when you do brother versus brother. I don't know if they could duplicate this, but they don't need to because it's a whole different era and it's a whole different it's two different brothers. And they're twins. It means so much different. Like it makes all the longest deception that they're gonna show tough love to each other. And then they all gang up on Roman. And it was like, look, they all respect each other, and then he's on the island all by himself. And Solo eventually, when Jimmy kicked, I didn't realize that was Jimmy. The way they did it so well, it was so well done. He was turned around. That hoodie was tight. You guys were there. Did you see Jimmy's face, or was he looking down
on the Titantron? Yes, on the Titantron. Yes.
I thought
as soon as I saw somebody,
he looked slimmer for some reason. I thought it could have been the younger brother or something. I was like, holy crap, they put somebody else. And then when Jimmy pulled the hoodie off, I mean, they did it so well. So
he's looking slimmer because his pockets are thinner for not being part of the story right now.
But now he's back in it.
I give it 9 out of 10. I mean, the only thing was the Shayna and the Ronda. And I'm glad Shayna won, but I mean, don't mix the two. There's a reason that they left that sport. Don't try to make it back into it.
Well, you know, like Aaron said, Brawl for All was what it was. They need to not mix the two sports. They're the same company now. Cool. Don't need to crossbreed. Like,
Brock was looking in.
If you're gonna mix it, go all out. Pick an MMA referee. Make it real. Get Ken Shamrock in it. Get something. Do some special crap to be like, holy shit, this might be real. Try to confuse us.
Maybe because they're not yet labeling Survivor Series as War Games, maybe instead of the War Games cage, we get the Octagon in November. The sales should be done by October, so why not?
Yeah, just put the Octagon up there by the stage while you still have the rings down there. So, I mean, they've done that before. They have done that before. So
the Lion's Den was pretty much the Octagon, so...
Well, I mean, yeah, but they couldn't call it that, obviously. But now, they're the same company now, so...
Yeah, honestly...
Brock was in pretty good shape, he was getting ready to go back to UFC or something. Man. That was as ripped as he's been in a long time.
He was looking lean and mean last night, Virtue. I wouldn't be surprised if they do some sort of, I mean, maybe kind of verge into that a little bit.
I got to get that to Charlotte, too. Charlotte looks incredible shape. Like,
for all the shit people laid on her, and she was the only one not training with you last night, didn't look like she needed to do much training to me.
I don't think her and Andrade have a day away from the gym, if I'm perfectly honest.
They don't. Those two are, if they're not at TV, they're in the gym all friggin' day. I swear to God they are.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't.
All right, gentlemen.
They did it right with making Bianca the one that they cash in on.
Yep.
Passing it over to Aaron. This is his SummerSlam review and the super chats. So let's see how efficient he can be here. Give him the floor the rest of the show.
Okay. Yeah, because this is going to be over an hour 30 most likely, and I think he knew it's time to get the ball rolling with this. Got to moderate here, everybody. All right, so first of all, I would like to give a shout out to 26.2 miles outside parts unknown. I like that username. Sent in a generous $10 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, hello, Aaron. I'm a longtime viewer, early 2000s. There you go. That's a long time.
Ooh, that's a long time ago.
First time sending a super chat. Enjoy listening to all your content. Keep up the great work. Very much appreciated. And on that note, I would like to give a shout out to everybody that came to the meetup. I had several people tell me that they were watching for years. They've been following for a long time. And it's really cool to hear that from people. Here's one of the photos. And we also had Gilbert, a good friend, show up. He was gone by the time we took this photo, but he did send out a tweet a few moments ago, and I retweeted him. So that was a pleasure to meet him finally, and we met up with Sun. I shared that photo earlier. Shout out to Alexander, good guy. We got to meet him. We saw him, Virtue. We met him back in 2018. He was at the Chicago meetup, so he's been around quite a bit. Good friend of the site. Much love to him. Now, let's get to SummerSlam. Let's discuss this. I'm going to go match by match and just give my quick thoughts on everything. Logan Paul versus Ricochet. Really good match. Logan Paul, the guy is a pro. It feels like he's a regular. He doesn't feel like an outsider. He's out there. He's hanging with one of the best in Ricochet. really entertaining match to start off the show. I think that was a good choice to kick off SummerSlam. Tons of boos for Logan Paul, and Ricochet was quite over. It was a fun opener. Second match of the evening was a surprise to some fans. You had Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar in the second match, and I could hear people around me. They were surprised, but as mentioned earlier, Brock Lesnar wanted to get out there and maybe go home as quickly as possible. We know that story. This was a good match. I think it should have been a last man standing match. The whole deal with the throw Cody Rhodes out of the ring and he beats the 10 count. Like, it was basically a last man standing match as a regular match. They should have had the stipulation of last man standing and let them brawl in the crowd a little bit and do some stuff, maybe on the ramp or whatever. I just think that they should have had a stipulation for it. But for what it was, really solid match. Cody got the win. And I really liked the post-match with Brock shaking his hand and raising his hand up, giving him a hug, endorsing him. When has Brock Lesnar ever done something like that before? That really put over Cody big time. So props to Brock Lesnar for that. TJS brought up that Cody cheated. So I seem to remember that Cody used the steel steps. Am I correct?
Yep.
Yes, he did.
And there was no DQ on that.
Correct.
So yeah, that was weird, but whatever.
Yes, NoDQ was on. We were covering that on your stream. Yes.
Again, should have been a last man standing match, in my opinion. We had the Battle Royal, which I know some people are like, they should have had Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch, which I do agree. But the Battle Royal was a nice change of pace. You look at this card, they had so many one-on-one matches. I like when there's a little bit of variety. I like the Battle Royal because it's something different. If you go to a buffet, you don't want to eat the same thing. You want, well, maybe some of you do, but for me personally, I go to a buffet. I like to get a little bit of everything. And that's what the Battle Royal was. You get some different people out there. It's a different type of match. I enjoyed it. LA Knight is red hot. Why not get the guy on the card? And he won. I mean, I was a little bit doubtful that they were going to go all the way with him, but they did have him win the match, and he was massively over. LA Knight, Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso. WWE has some hot baby faces right now. Seth Rollins too. Crowd was going crazy for them. And I know, Virtue, you were calling the people singing Rollins' song a bunch of marks. They very much were. I wasn't really singing, but
oh, come on. Yeah, you were.
Maybe I was thinking.
Aaron, I was sitting right next to you. Our whole row was suddenly doing it.
But yeah, I mean, they got a lot of hot acts right now as far as baby faces go. And one funny thing about the Battle Royal was Austin Theory's out there with all the other guys that didn't get an entrance. I get it. You want LA Knight to have his music play and everything, but they really should just have everybody come out to one song, because when you have like only 3 people with entrances, it kind of makes everybody else
a jobber.
Seem like a jobber, like a prelim guy, including your United States champion. Like, why did the Miz is a former WWE champion, but what has he done lately? How does the Miz get an entrance and not Austin Theory? And Omos was a surprise. I mean, whatever. I mean, he was fitting for the Battle Royal, but I mean, wasn't exactly the surprise I think that people were hoping for. So the Battle Royal was good. As I mentioned earlier, the women's match with Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, MMA rules, kind of crapped the bed, so to speak. I think they should have done a fight pit match. I think maybe fans would have been more into it. Maybe not, because I sensed that the crowd is just sick of Ronda Rousey and they don't really want to see her. And by the way, there was a comment earlier, like how many people were adults versus kids. I think it was a very good mix. Like, you had a lot of adults, you had a lot of kids and families. It was very much a mix, although I do think there were probably more adult men at this show, best I could tell at least. The smell was okay. Wasn't the worst, but I was surrounded by fairly good smelling people, so that helps. I saved it there, Jeff. But yeah, the bathroom was a little nasty, but that's to be expected when you got people drinking and they don't know how to piss in the center of the toilet. They pee on the seat. They, don't know how to flush properly. It happens at wrestling shows. That's just the way it is.
It happens at shows.
Exactly.
I like this. Aaron's really going into like some deep review here.
I'm reviewing the bathroom. That's how detailed this
I
is.
told my mom, I'm like, it's gonna be 6:30 at least for pickup. Don't even rush.
So how was the merchandise stand or the concession stand,
You
Aaron?
can't really walk around out there. There were so many people everywhere. Like it was a madhouse. But anyways, back to the show. Finn Balor and Seth Rollins, very good match, as I mentioned earlier. Struggled with the crowd heat, but they picked it up at the end. And I think because we really weren't sure who was going to win this match, it made it more interesting, not knowing if there was going to be a cash in. Is Balor going to win the title? I would have liked to have seen Balor win the title personally, but Rollins is the first world champion of this new lineage. So I do like Rollins having a lengthy first run. And massive heat for Dominic, and lots of people supporting Rhea. And by the way, Noah, they do the LA Knight every time there's a boo and exchange with the punches.
I noticed that stuff. It's
my God.
Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says, did I eat Domino's pizza afterwards? That's a reference to the predictions, and no, I did not. I stay away from Domino's.
Okay, I must have missed that. It's like Little Caesars. It's a Little Caesars right next door.
No, he mentioned it in the prediction. Do you think someone in upper management just doesn't trust Balor? Because I feel like this was so set up for him to win, and then they didn't do it. Like I just don't get that booking decision.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what their end game is, other than they want Seth Rollins to have a lengthy run with the title. And Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat and says, seriously, what went wrong with Austin Theory? Here's what my opinion is. Grayson Waller, I think, is everything that Austin Theory is with more charisma.
Yep. And Austin Theory will forever have the stank of being Vince's boy on him.
That's what happened.
That's
with today's fan base who doesn't like what Vince McMahon pushes forward.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. This Guy Experience sent in a $2 super chat, says, upset about Sky cashing in early. Jimmy better explain. All right, let's talk about that. So we had the three-way women's match, which was good, but the crowd was struggling to get into it. And they did this injury angle with Bianca Belair. And Noah, you did point it out. You're like, if this was a legitimate injury, they would not be focusing on her so much like they did. But I'll tell you, people around us, there was one guy behind us that was like, oh, she's out for 6 months now. People bought it hook, line, and sinker.
We bought it at home.
I bought it at home. It made a loud bang. Like there was a big noise. Like it really sounded like her hit that stair, and she was messed up. I bought it.
Well, they did a great job with it, because a lot of the crowd, they were marks, Virtue. They got him hook, line, and sinker. They reeled him in.
They drew him in.
Yeah, they did. And Bianca came back, of course, and did that big 450 to break up the figure eight. And then Asuka spit the mist in Charlotte's face, and then
that was nasty.
That was great. And then Bianca took advantage of the situation, got the win, only for Iyo Sky to cash in, got the massive pop, and I'm really happy for her. She got her big moment at SummerSlam, and they brought out Dakota Kai for that. Very cool, very nice moment. But how will they capitalize on this? Is she going to be another fluke champion who loses in 2 months, and then she's just back to where she was before?
So, 1 year later,
I'm not sure.
On top of the world.
I'm not sure how much you guys can see from up there, but it looked like Bayley put a little more oomph into that whacking Charlotte with the briefcase than anybody else, man. She wound up like freaking Big Poppy.
Yeah, she really did. She hit her hard.
Again, let's not forget how much Charlotte and Bayley's rivalry goes, to the point that Bayley went heel.
But yeah, I had the sound on during the women's match, but I know my guys both told me that they heard the sound of her landing. But I pointed out to them in the after show, they never actually showed her landing on WWE camera, which was a good Kevin Dunn thing yesterday. Yeah. Because like I said, everybody bought it at home. It was great camera work and great selling by Bianca.
Suspension of disbelief.
And I would like to see the Money in the Bank holder not cash it in so quickly, but it was cool to see it at SummerSlam. I think the timing was right for it. At least it wasn't the same night. I guess that's
this was happy about seeing it live. So.
Carmella kept it for like 8 months.
Almost a year. Yeah.
I'm talking about the last 5 or 6 years. You know, that was back in like 2018.
Well, yeah, this has been the second longest one.
Yeah, so basically since the first one.
Yeah, exactly. I forgot to mention Gunther versus Drew McIntyre, which I did think was a great match, maybe the best match of the show. I don't think it was as good as the triple threat at WrestleMania. I don't know how you guys thought watching it at home, but I thought the triple threat was a better match, slightly, but this was still a great match.
No, I agree with that. I even said in the pre-show that it has the potential to be better, and it wasn't. Like somehow Sheamus not being there made it lesser than. It was still great, and it was arguably the best match on the show as far as in-ring stuff. But it definitely felt lacking compared to WrestleManias.
I think Balor and Seth might have stole the match of the night.
Yeah, I mean it's debatable.
Balor and Seth and Gunther and Drew and Roman and
like
Jay.
What makes a great match? Because we're thinking what Dave Meltzer is going to give it. The best match on the show was Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso. Not even close. There was no match on the card even close to that. Because people are pigeonholing themselves onto Dave Meltzer 5 stars. That's what would be a great match.
But what I mean by that is because we already knew. I thought
slightly followed by Ricochet and Logan Paul.
I think we already knew Jay versus Roman would be great. That's why I said stole it. Like I'm talking about an unexpected match that was better than we expected.
Yeah, like I said, in terms of the technical stuff, I think there's talk for a lot of them, but overall storytelling and match combined, there's no disputing that, Bert. You're absolutely right, and it was designed to be that way. That's why it was last match. That's why it's been built up for 3 years. That's why the Bloodline's been the most captivating thing in wrestling possibly ever,
and that's why it went as long as it did too. Anyway, let's give it back to Aaron, folks.
A long match. So.
All right, here's my take on Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso. I was tired, so I was ready to go home. And Roman's entrance takes 10 minutes, and then they're just standing there. Roman's going to the outside, and they're taking forever just to lock up. And I don't know, just being there live, it was a different experience. It felt like every Roman Reigns match, for good or bad, however you look at it. It felt like the typical Roman Reigns match, and they do all the near falls, but I don't think Jay's winning, so that kind of took me out of it a little bit. I kind of thought it was boring, Virtue. I know you're
a mark, and everybody like Brad Hendricks, you're all
tired mark.
You're all stupid Meltzer marks who think wrestling needs to be all this stupid, back and forth, false finishes. What would Dave Meltzer say? You're idiots. You wouldn't know what a great match would be if you were in it yourself, because you're all stupid, dumb, stupid marks who don't have a clue what's good. Whoa. Oh, I'm bored. I want every match to make me go ooh and ah the whole time. And at the end, though, I'm tired. So therefore, it's another Roman Reigns match because the event was 4 hours. You guys are stupid. Seriously, that's what's wrong with wrestling. That's why casuals are gone, because of stupid fans. That's why when you go out in public around a non-wrestling event, you don't see wrestling shirts anymore. You only see wrestling shirts when you're at a wrestling event. That's the problem. Boring. It was epic. It was great. Now, was it the greatest match of all time? No, but look at every match on that card. There was nothing that was better than it.
Here's my issue. I did want oohs and ahs because this was the main event of a 50,000, 60,000 seat event, and they just used kendo sticks and chairs, which we see in every match. I wanted to see them.
Oh, but when they use them in AEW, ooh and ah.
Yeah, ooh and ah, because
you're marks. You're stupid, dumb marks. Clip this, somebody. Clip this and put this on the internet. Stop being dumb, stupid marks. I don't even like move on and finish talking about what you're talking about because there is no argument here. And again, it's just the expectation of what's supposed to be a great match, and it's pigeonholed into a stupid goddamn Wrestling Observer bullshit that's spread this thing through the last 20 years of what's supposed to be great matches. Awful. Like this, no, that it's influenced that niche culture. And I'm going to call it out. I bet you kids were there having fun, and they could have been tired and exhausted from the 4 and 5 hour night, Aaron. But I bet you they were having fun because they're not watching it from a critical eye. So I got to call that out. It's just I'm getting sick of hearing this.
Yeah, actually, there was kids in the row behind us that were literally falling asleep.
If they do pick a match that could have been better. Hell, I'm not even a Ricochet fan, but Logan Paul and Ricochet.
Listen,
better than Drew and Gunther.
I think Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso was a very good main event, but I think it was maybe the 4th best match of the night, honestly.
It was the best match of the night, but you're a jaded Mark who wants Meltzer. You put Meltzer news on your
for the
site.
main event.
You put Meltzer news on your site, people, so you must cater to that fan base. And so you're going to say you're going to put those matches over that he rates higher. And I'm calling it out. That's what I'm doing. I'm calling it out.
All right, Jeff, speak your piece.
I would like to say for the record that I do not like Dave Meltzer at all. And number one, number two, I even said before Aaron started his recap that I like this show. I didn't have a damn bit of volume on. I actually enjoyed the show for me. So if I'm a stupid, dumb, stupid mark for it, then I guess I am. But I actually enjoyed the show every bit of it.
I didn't say you're a mark for enjoying that. You said you enjoyed the show. You're not sitting there and being like, oh, like that's a thing too. Shayna and Ronda, like we know they shouldn't have done that match. That's WWE's fault.
Right.
But because Ronda, like just the way fans are, they're gonna hate on. She's an outsider, right? People still hate Logan Paul, and he's proven that how great he is to the wrestling business already in such a short period of time. But he's an outsider, so people hate him. Like that's just nuts. It's the diehard fans that are creating this false narrative that only that diehard echo chamber care about.
Logan got a standing ovation from me. The way he
did
to wrestling,
and I was,
wow.
And I praised him earlier. I was impressed that they had a great match to start the show, and I was even more impressed and said so earlier that he was able to get to his brother's fight, and WWE got put over like Rover in a completely different format. That was awesome.
I mean, Virtue, I think we even talked about this on Open Mic Night, Jeff. Wrestling is subjective. Maybe people have like a blinder vision, as you're implying, but again, there are different perspectives for every single individual, including all of us here on this panel. Logan Paul is an incredible worker. Personality-wise, people might have a different perspective. When they use that perspective, though, to also cater to his actual in-ring work, then maybe that's a little bit out of sorts. As far as, ranking and star ratings, that's up to people's choices. Overall, the show was a great experience, but you can't expect people to react to every match the same way, nor the main event if they react to the entire rest of the card a different way, because people have fatigue.
Exactly. For wrestling fans, it's on to the next match. All those matches that were great, that were better, you're going to forget about them. Aaron, you're going to forget about those matches that were better than Roman and Jey a month from now when you have 100 other matches that were the same way. But Roman and Jey, you're always going to remember how it played out, how Jimmy came out, how the bloodline saga continues. That
the rate we're going, we're going to have 100 Roman Reigns matches the same way.
But all the matches you like, those are all the same. That's what I don't understand. You hate Roman for having the same type of matches, but you love all the other type of matches that are the same type of matches.
If you go back and watch Aaron's favorite matches videos over the years, that's a big fat lie. That's okay.
Actually, it's not.
So Aaron's favorite match of all time is Austin Brett. Is that still the case, Aaron?
Yeah.
From WrestleMania 13. Nowhere near like that match.
And Bret Hart versus Owen Hart.
Owen Hart. Okay.
But the last 5-6 years since AEW's been around, he's fallen into that. It's a great match if a wrestling observer.
If I'm entertained by it, I don't really have a criteria as long as it's entertaining.
Right.
But so every match you've said let's go back the past 10 years that you say is a great match. They're all very similar matches.
Look at all John Moxley's matches. They're all the same. And people go, for AEW. I can't stand the way Moxley wrestles right now. I feel like he's just trying to be Mick Foley.
Somebody booked the NoDQ debate. Thank you.
The
Appreciate
fact that Roman doesn't have to appeal to these marks that want 5-star matches, and yet he's getting the biggest push in wrestling for 4 decades. Like that says a lot. Like that says a lot, and people are still going to talk about him. And they're like, they'll say, "Oh, the 4th best match," but then come Friday night, what's going to happen with the Bloodline saga? You don't have to have those greatest matches. Like just last year, Roman had that match with Brock Lesnar. Everybody hated
I thought that
the
was
Roman.
better than this year's.
Everybody hated the Roman. This Jimmy and Jay and Roman match was better than the Jay and Roman match with no fans in it.
Even though thought the Hell in a Cell match was better.
See, but why? There was no fans there. This was I thought the
story was interesting.
It was like the same. It was literally the same thing, but now in front of a crowd. But yet all of a sudden this match was drab because you were tired and I couldn't react like I wanted to in front of the live crowd. But anyway, carry on. Do you got any more super chats that came in?
TJS is getting very restless that I did not finish.
Oh, I don't care.
Screw TJS. Having a good conversation here.
I like this. This is fun.
It's on him.
Okay. To be fair, the commentary adds a lot to it. So maybe if I'm watching it at home with the commentary, they can help tell the story in the ring. And I'm a very big fan of the commentary work. If the commentary is good, I think that can enhance a match. And let me say this about the live events. Like, I enjoyed being there with the atmosphere and everything, being in the stadium, but I really have no desire to go back for another stadium show. Like, I have no interest in going to WrestleMania.
Was that your first stadium show?
No, I did WrestleMania 31.
That's right.
This was my first, and again, WrestleMania would just probably be for me just to either engage with friends or just see something different because there is no bigger spectacle than WrestleMania. But I kind of agree with you, Aaron, because I really do enjoy just engaging with the fun here at home.
Yeah, Jeff.
I was going to say, finish your review of one, and then there's a question that's been asked about 45 times by one person in the chat room, so I want to make sure it gets addressed.
Okay. But let me finish my point about the stadium show. Like, we were 5 rows off the floor. We had really good seats, but we're still really far from the ring. And I was actually looking at the screen more than I was the ring. And I couldn't even really see the wrestlers coming out from the entranceway. No. I like watching it in the comfort of my own home when I'm doing the results coverage. Like, I was working on my phone, so I was also not paying a lot of attention. So I'm going to be honest and transparent with everybody. Like, it was not the same experience being at home watching it. I'm intrigued about the Jimmy Uso turn. I'm going to see where it goes from here. Like, there's a lot of story. Like Paul Heyman said, end of the 3rd inning. There's apparently a lot more to come. I think it's quick to crap on it, and there were people crapping on it. I don't think that's fair. I think that we got to see how this plays out, and it could be very entertaining. They're continuing to tease Roman Reigns and Solo splitting up, and if this is something that Jimmy and Jay want, which is what I've heard, that they want to have a one-on-one match at some point, then let's see what happens here. Like, they dropped the teases that maybe Jimmy was a bit jealous and he wasn't on board with Jay being the right-hand man, and he got hurt. He was out of action for several weeks, and maybe that clouded his judgment. Let's see what happens. I'm definitely intrigued by it, and time will tell it. The numbers will either go up or they'll go down. They'll stay the same, maybe. Jeff?
Okay, so for the love of God, somebody answer this question before TGS has a stroke. Did anybody on commentary or Mike Rome himself or any match graphic ever state that one of the stipulations in the match itself between Roman and Jay was no interference?
It was on WWE.com.
On WWE.com. Okay,
yes.
Thank you. That's what I wanted to know before I either laid into TJS for asking the question 46,000 times or having you explain or your opinion why that was why it was.
Did the ref see it?
Well, yeah, because Solo was all up in it the whole time. Solo was all over that. Yeah, and yes, the ref did see it because he was like, all that was going on. It was no. How can you have a non-interference and say no holds barred? Because it's like, okay, well, no holds barred. Well, so don't interfere. Well,
Yeah, I thought it was
damned
no
if I-
rules. The
yeah,
only
yeah,
rule is
those
you
two those stipulations don't line up.
No, they don't. You might as well just call it anything not a standard match, no DQ. At this point, I was just wondering who was going to interfere first. Was it going to be someone? Was going to be somebody else?
Dude, JJ, and by the way, JJ still has not seen the movie Titanic. Let me be clear. And I'm not throwing him under the bus or anything. But
Well, then how is he one to make that comparison?
Because he's absolutely right. Because the actual movie itself, once you see it, it's a great story. But you're sitting there for 3.5 hours, and it's like, okay, the story itself threaded through is great, but goddamn.
And I know Roman's kicking out of everything. Like he does a great job kicking out at 2 9/10, but it's like it's every match now, and you know the match is not ending to a certain time.
Exactly. Right. You know when you buy a ticket to see, especially when you buy, if you rent Titanic or if you order it now or stream it now, you know what's happening. There's going to be a love story involving a chick getting drawn naked and the boat's going down. That's what's happening.
He's 1,070 days. No shit that he's keeping the title. Why is this even a discussion? Like, remember we thought it was going to be Cody winning it by SummerSlam? That still hasn't happened. I was even saying that. Like, I'm a little surprised that hasn't happened yet.
We all knew he was keeping the title, but at least they told the story, and there's that little 1% that thought maybe Jay can pull this off, which is why
I was partially bought in when Jay hit that splash and went for that 3 count. But the
Aaron, did I not buy into that when we saw that? Did I not buy into that? But you said
when he pulled Solo in the Roman spear, I was like, oh, he might do this.
Right?
All right, we got some super chats here, and then I'll give my letter grade. So stay tuned for the letter grade. Don't tune out. You'll be interested in this one. Mike Anderson sent in a $2 super chat. No comment, but I appreciate it, Mike. Thank you for that.
Me blowing up about Roman is making people like that just throw money at Aaron Rift. You're welcome.
There you go.
Call me a Roman, Mark. I know exactly what I'm doing, and the timing of my rant was specifically to lure you in. Got you again, puppets.
There you go. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Virtue, who's Brad Hendricks?
Don't care.
Don't care. He's a mark.
Well, first of all, he spelled the Hendricks name wrong, which shows you how much the guy's important for ragging on Virtue. There you go.
And no Rock on this show, but anybody that thought the Rock was going to show up, I mean, you're setting yourself up to be disappointed.
Yeah, we were. It was talked about a lot in the pre-show and in the chat prior to it, but it's just like I wanted to think there would be more to it than just Jay and Roman, or even Jimmy and Soul. The elders being there, somebody else, more involvement. But again, watching with no sound on and having my guys, do my thing, I enjoyed the match for what it was. I had no higher expectations of it, and I was into it. I was into it watching it happen, unfold in front of me.
As somebody who saw the Tribal Chief for the first time ever, it did what it needed to do for me as far as seeing it.
Exactly. Your last live show was when Roman was, I think, either still on hiatus or he hadn't converted yet. So I'm perfectly okay with how the whole show laid out, including the main event, regardless of what to the point of, well, WWE.com said it. WWE.com and internet sites say a lot of shit. Okay, for the record.
The Nexus, who's to say he's not coming back? Just because he didn't come back at SummerSlam doesn't mean. Teases don't have a time limit on them. You can tease something a whole year ahead. But
if they don't take the time to make a match graphic about it, if they don't take the time to make the commentators say something out of the headset, if you don't hear Mike Rome or Sam Irvin mention it, it ain't gonna happen.
Right.
So it's anything goes, no holds barred. They could have 25 members. They could have The Rock fly in from wherever the hell he's not filming shit right now, drop a rock bottom and walk out. Nobody's gonna say shit. Like, it is what it is. It's a no holds barred match. So to be wound that tight about interference, well, duh. Sorry.
The interference was more of a tradition from, like, people just thought tribal war meant between these two, and nobody should, out of respect, interfere. It wasn't part of the stipulation itself.
And that's a fair argument, but I counter the argument with nobody interfered except Blood. Even Paul didn't do a damn thing except stand there and have a fit.
You notice, Jeff, he always stands in the perfect shot.
Well, of course,
in the background.
For 40 years, he knows, man.
Yeah, he knows. He's got the little X he puts out there, and he knows.
Must
know where to go.
Paul knows exactly where to stand to make. And I even mentioned it when we were doing the show. The only time Paul really looked worried was when Solo was getting worked up. You can see him back there going, Solo. He looked concerned. Other than that, Paul was cool as a cucumber, man.
Aaron, letter grade.
Well, I got a few super chats here, so let me get to those real quick. Psycho Jet Black sent in $2 and said, "Have Jimmy Uso beat Theory for the U.S. title."
I don't.
Jimmy's a heel, though. Heel versus heel.
I don't think this thing needs any more championships involved. Just get through the tribal and the family story.
I agree with that. U.S. title doesn't need to be involved. And
No.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Building Nexus, for the other super chat.
The respect means more than the championships.
Agreed. Psycho Jet Black sent in $2 and says, "Will WWE recreate the horse scene from The Godfather?" Probably not, because they already did WrestleMania Goes Hollywood. But if they ever do another Hollywood parody, they could.
I think that's a little extreme. I don't think they're. I mean,
kids show. PG.
Yeah, exactly. It was hardcore enough. Rep for saying, what was it, Goodfellas or whatever?
Godfather.
No, the parody the whole family did.
That was Goodfellas. Yeah,
that was Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Damn it, Aaron.
Even I know that. I don't watch movies.
Right.
I'm tired.
I mean, we're tired.
I'm tired
now, Virtue.
And I work with children.
You do not. Well, okay, wait, maybe.
I knew exactly what I was doing, like I always do.
Teaching in Color X sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. It says, "Top 4 shows you've been to live, all of you." He wants us to go 2 hours.
4,
right?
4. I can't even remember the last show I was at, let alone
you.
4.
Well, you always bring up Survivor Series '92 because that was
fun. It was because I was a kid too.
It was a fun show. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say top 4: SummerSlam 2013, Royal Rumble 2013 was a lot of fun, WrestleMania 31, WrestleMania 21, and No Way Out 2008 was a really good show. I loved that one.
Were you at No Way Out 01, Aaron? I forget if you were at that one or not. The one with Hunter and Austin.
I was not at that one.
Okay, for some reason I thought you were. Okay.
I was at that Raw that after the first blood match where Stone Cold beat Kane back for the title in Cleveland. I was at that one. That was fun.
Yeah.
And I liked Toronto SummerSlam and just the vibe of hanging out with everybody. That was just a fun trip in general. And I liked the 2018 Money in the Bank. Noah, you've been to just a couple, right?
Yeah, besides this SummerSlam, which again, it was really great just engaging with y'all, and this was a fun first ever stadium experience. Definitely one. As far as me, I look at all things wrestling and sports entertainment. I really don't judge. But I've been to, as far as those shows go, yeah, definitely that weekend, NXT TakeOver Toronto, and that SummerSlam where we saw the Fiend moment. And as far as the 4th, just because Nashville's freaking awesome, it was my first Impact experience. Hello, Dion Purrazzo, incredible athlete. I'll say Summerversary, 2021.
Oh, there you go. Jeff, Turning Point, 2004, the Elix Skipper cage walk.
It's so funny to me how often that still gets referenced, even in conversations now. There was somebody interviewed Chris Harris recently.
We got Ood and Odd, Jeff.
We did.
He started it. Guys like Elix Skipper started this, and it got Meltzer all hyped up, and everybody started doing that stuff.
Japan started that back in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
hell, look what Hogan wrestled completely different when he was in Japan than when he was Hulk, the immortal Hulk Hogan.
I still swear there's a scar on my arm from Val freaking gripping while you and I were up there watching that match with Elix Skipper. That was
Jeff, my thing is, remember when like the great matches were few and far between and they felt more memorable? Now it's like every match has to be that. And it exhausts me. You know what I mean?
And it's funny. A lot of people are mentioning the more recent shows. My favorite shows, I always reference the WrestleMania 2000, although the card was just the shits. It was my first WrestleMania, and it was an awesome experience to be part of Access, to be a part of that. WrestleMania 24, again, not the greatest WrestleMania, but not the worst one. I enjoyed that show. If we're talking just WWE, God, I went to like 10 shows in 2001. Just take your pick. I really, because I was there, the night after Jericho became Undisputed Champion. I was there like a lot during the Invasion. So as bad as the story was overall, it was fun.
SummerSlam 2014.
SummerSlam 2014 up until that match started. Absolutely. Great experience. Great hanging out with everybody. Survivor Series and NXT 2018.
Yes,
Shout
that was a fun
shout,
one
shout
too.
to NXT Live 2017 when I discovered NoDQ.
Yeah.
Appreciate that, Noah.
Seeing NXT live in Bakersfield made me actually appreciate Bakersfield for about 2 seconds. It was beautiful.
Wow.
Other than that, piss on that town. Yeah, I've enjoyed my WWE going experience for the most part. Hell, the first SmackDown on Fox, as horrible as that WWE Championship match turned out to be, as far as the length of it, that was a fun experience. Having run into Arquette outside, that was cool. So I generally have fun WWE shows. I actually enjoy the live experience. It's just a lot of these shows go long, and none of us are getting any younger, so it's hard to be out late. It's hard to pull these all-nighters. It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, and
also,
kids were getting burned out too. Noah, kids were getting tired.
I'm sure.
Literally, we had kids behind us that were falling asleep.
Well, but you know what though, Aaron?
During Roman's match. What a bunch of
Roman's
marks
match.
those kids are.
Sure, yeah.
They don't know what good entertainment
Where's
is.
the proof? Show it.
Where's the
Did you take pictures of them?
No, because then he could get in trouble with their
Yeah,
parents.
exactly,
Come on now.
That'll be a whole different issue.
A whole other show, yeah. But you mentioned the burnout and the Wi-Fi thing was bad too. That happens a lot at there too. There's so many people that just the amount of people and the entirety of a long day that'll burn anybody out. So it's not just
Was everybody standing for Roman Reigns when he came to the ring? Noah.
Everybody was standing for pretty much everyone on the show.
Yeah, pretty much as everybody was coming out, they were standing, and if the theme had some sort of fan participation encouraging it, they were doing it, whether it was singing Cody Down Straight Kingdom or whether it was doing Seth friggin' Rollins' theme. And yes, they were doing this during Roman Reigns' entrance, even before acknowledgement. And when Jay started doing this, you could see the entire arena going along with it.
Now, would Jay be getting this love if it wasn't for Roman Reigns the past several years?
I don't think so. No.
Well, of course not.
I mean, I remember a time I'm like, Usos tag champs again, Usos tag. And like all of a sudden this bloodline thing happened and I cared about the Usos.
I remember when they shifted away from doing the Samoan tribal dance.
I was just going to say people turned on them, but they were doing that.
And people were like, "Oh, they're
Uso Penitentiary was okay." Remember, Aaron? Didn't you like the Uso?
Well, right. Yeah. When they first took the face paint off and started doing the penitentiary, people were like, "Nah," and then they liked it, and then they kept doing it. It was like, "Okay, this is boring." And then all of a sudden, they joined up with Roman, and it was like, "Okay, it's captivating again." Everything is cyclical, even our own fandoms, folks.
Okay, Aaron. Any other super chats? Anything you'd like to say about SummerSlam in closing, and then we'll wrap it up.
Last thing from Building Nexus, $2. Thank you for that. Says, would not count out a Rock return just yet, though. Yeah, he might show up at WrestleMania 40.
No, I wouldn't either.
I would not rule that out, but I think it's going to be Cody. That's my gut feeling at this point, especially after Brock put him over in the so-called unplanned segment, according to Triple H, but I don't really buy that. I give the show a B. It was a good SummerSlam. Was not my favorite SummerSlam that I went to in person, but I enjoyed the experience. I enjoyed meeting up with people, and that was a great time. And the show itself was overall very entertaining. I do think it was too long, though. That's my biggest critique of it. I think it would have been better as a 3-hour show, but hey, I think 2.5 hours is the sweet spot for these premium live events.
Well, yeah, I figure 3 hours. You cut the Battle Royal time down a smidge, and you cut out the superstar showcases that you guys didn't see live. There's your hour,
and some videos.
Yeah. And the long Roman and trial entrances. You cut that even down a little bit.
Yeah.
You've got
My
that
wife
hour.
literally went to the bathroom and came back, and Roman was still walking out. And I shit you not, she came back and said, "He's still not in the ring."
That's cinema for you, man.
Yep.
All right, Mike Anderson sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Mike. Says, do you think that there are too many title belts? Yes, in all the companies, too many to keep track of.
No argument.
I mean, you got the WWE titles for both brands. You got the Ring of Honor titles, the AEW titles, just too much.
The trios, the this and the that, but it's all merchandise sales.
You got fake titles. You got the FTW title, and now you got the real world title. Like, everybody pretty much has a title at this point.
Well, Impact at least keeps it as close to traditional as possible.
it's to the point where I forget half the champs. Like, honestly.
Yeah, Austin Theory, United States champion. What was his last defense?
Roman's other than the Mexico was WrestleMania, so there is that too.
Yeah.
All right, we got one more here from Matt Phillips Reviews. Thank you for that, Matt. Says, any chance Brock comes clean and admits he attacked Cody on behalf of Roman Reigns like Rikishi and The Rock? Roman needs to pull more strings in WWE, be a mob boss. Virtue, what do you think about that? Do you think that that's necessary, or do you think it would take away from the bloodline storyline going on right now?
They're really into the blood part of this angle. So as cool as it could be to have another top star aligned with them in a way, that's 20 plus years ago. Today they keep it the blood.
I agree. I think it's done now. I think the Cody Brock thing is over. Brock put him over, and not sure what Brock does next, but I guess that's another topic for another video.
The two of them have been doing out too much to all of a sudden be joined.
I kind of theorized that maybe it was, I'm not saying the match was the same quality anyway, but I was thinking it was more like Shawn and Hogan, where Shawn had to know if he could, beat Hogan, and, just had to do what he had to do to get him in the ring. Brock did the same thing. He attacked Cody and riled him up and got him in the match series, and Cody beat him straight up, and Brock put him over. Shawn put Hogan over at the end of SummerSlam too, despite what everybody wanted him to do to Hogan for real, which is kick his damn head off again. But
that was the most hilarious I've ever seen Shawn Michaels ever. Oh my god.
Yeah, similar framing, not the actual match layout by a lot, but framing of the story.
All right, we're caught up, Virtue. I'm ready for bed, so let's go ahead and get these.
Go around and do our plugs.
With Jeff, we'll hit the 2-hour mark. So
excellent episode. I wasn't sure if Virtue's
on the plugs just to get everybody out of the way. Jesus.
I wasn't sure if the rage was going to come out because I was tired from being in Tennessee all week, but it did. And we didn't do a review last week, and I had to get it all out. I feel cleansed and refreshed and ready to continue for the next show.
Man.
All right, do your plugs, Jeff. I'll start with you.
All right, we got a big week coming up. Renegades reviews all week. Meech's Musings tomorrow, just on my channel. Stat Boy Sports Bar on Tuesday. Pimple Take with Noah and JJ on SummerSlam on Tuesday. Talk Wrestling on Tuesday. The Greg Cherry Show, 3rd anniversary on Friday. There's the thing I was talking about earlier, the image with Macho Man and Elizabeth with the little refrigerator sticky, whatever you want to call it, magnet thing. Friday is our episode. Can we put the other one back up so I can actually get through my thank you? Dad's Top 10 TV Shows on Saturday. A tribute to the guy that didn't contribute a bloody thing to the business for his 70th birthday, Hulk Hogan, on Saturday, even though it's his birthday Friday. And in the members section of the Cutting Studios this week, JJ's reviewing SummerSlam 98. So yes, Josh Mansfield has homework that he has to come up with what Hogan positively contributed to the industry. That's his Mansfield's homework assignment for this coming Saturday.
Thank you, Jeff.
All
right, Walter. Walter, get yours out of the way. They're usually quick.
Yeah, mine's are quick because we know what Noah does.
Don't worry, I'm going to be condensed.
On X, I'm at Walter Alex Cruz, and then on Instagram is Cowfire Farms. And again, thanks for always having me up here.
It's a pleasure Mr. Reliable. All righty, Noah. Thanks for bearing some Virtue's rage there. I always like to give you that little extra there when you're on the show with me because it's not that often. So
yeah. Scheduling can be real mother butter, but I'm going to try and be more often. It's always a pleasure, Virtue. Folks, again, find me on Foster1916, primarily on YouTube and Twitter, where I only wish to encourage you to just enjoy life and enjoy professional wrestling. It's as simple as that.
Nice. Hey, what was that little thing? What was that little photo you had up there? I didn't see any hashtag WWE. What's up with that?
The photo? What photo?
The photo that Aaron had.
Oh, wrong one. That's Steve.
Yeah. That's my older, the older Twitter banner. That was
never mind. That's professional wrestling.
I gotta change that. I'm barely on there, Virtue.
Yeah,
I get. All right.
Outstanding. Come next review.
Just stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest. Much love and appreciation to everybody out there, and be a fan of professional wrestling. Damn it.
But you digress.
Thank you.
There you go.
I'm sure for now.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, Virtue, are you a fan of the Tennessee Titans?
No.
And no. Psycho Jet Black also
I liked them when they were the Houston Oilers better back in the day.
I was going to say, people in Tennessee aren't fans of Tennessee.
I was going to say, they're not at all.
Ouch.
Noah's pretty tall, Psycho Jet Black. He's taller than me, but I'm short, so hard to say. What are you, like 5'11"?
6 feet.
6 feet. There you
Are
go.
you really? Okay, well, there you go.
He's tall. I mean,
to be fair, I've never seen anybody in the room in person other than you, Aaron. So I don't have a frame of reference in person.
I mean, myself, you, Jeff, Virtue, we're all like 5'6", 5'7", 5'8", something like that. And Noah, compared to us, is tall. We'll say that much.
Yep.
Yes.
Walter, how tall are you?
6 feet as well.
Well, there you go. So you guys are the big guys. You're the heavyweights of the.
Yeah, Aaron's always been the short.
We're not necessarily heavyweights, just tall.
Yeah.
Aaron wants us to hit 2 hours. That's why he's.
Yeah,
we got to hit the 2 hour mark.
By the way, and somebody's like, this was a long review. We've done 2 hour reviews before. We've done a 4 hour review.
I was going to say, it's
200 went how friggin' long? Shut the hell up at home. Jesus.
But anyway, Aaron, all set?
Yeah, 250 is going to be a long one, so you better be
Oh my
ready.
God, right?
Should we start that at 7 p.m.? All right. Follow me on Twitter at x.com. NoDQ_virtue. And then go to NoDQ.com/merch and check out all the great merchandise over there, like Aaron is wearing. That's it. Oh, Aaron, here's another super chat.
No. Okay, here we go.
Oh,
Let's go Jet Black with a $2 super chat. Hey, dude, I only got 5 hours of sleep last night, so you got to let me go and get some rest. Let me rest in peace.
It's time for Aaron to go to bed. Let our Rifty go.
This is where the big boys play.
So
That doesn't get copyright.
They're not copyright. They're not copyright. Damn it.
All right, so this is where the big boys play, huh? Look at the adjective.
Yeah.
All right, we're out.
Okay, for Aaron, for Noah, for Jeff, for Walter, I am Virtue, the moderator, and the whole crew. We'll see you again next week, NoDQ Galaxy. Good night.
Have a good night, folks.